Well, welcome to Master Powercast. Tyler, it's the secret liquid of life, He-Man versus Geldor. Geldor is shrouded in mystery. We know absolutely nothing about this character going into it. We're just going to jump right into him being there, going after the secret liquid, which is actually eternal life. And that got me thinking about Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Is eternal life something that you would want to aspire to? Like, if this actually existed, would this be something that you would go on a quest to find?
If it guaranteed you could maintain like the best of yourself, like physically, that's cool. But watching everyone you've ever cared about, from family, loved ones, close friends, like they all die off, and you just continue on, having to restart the cycle over and over again, and like your family's gone, like you outlive them and then some, and their children and things like that. It has its big price. Yeah, I think probably not. I just I to go through, it's hard enough when you lose dogs and when you lose people that are older than you, but to lose people your age, much younger than you, and even younger than you, yeah, I don't think I would want to go through that constant loss and having to restart relationships and friendships and you know you know constant loss throughout life.
It would be a miserable existence. But the reason that you chose this particular mini comic for us to review is what I mentioned at the very beginning with Geldor, the mystery surrounding him. We know nothing about him and the other characters that come into play.
Yeah, this was written by Michael Halpern, who wrote the original He-Man Bible, and there was no description of Geldor, Dagon, Torgal, the Wizards. It's just their names. And Larry Houston got to ask, like, "Hey, you have no description of these characters. Can I make them black?" They're like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And then like Double-Edged Sword, like, you have these other characters. Can I make them Asian? And Slave City, can I make them Native American? Like that was so cool about this 84 run of mini comics, is that Larry was given free range to kind of give life to these characters that had no description, no backstory, no real connection to the mythology at all. And it's just like they're here, but you have nothing to really base it on. Like there's no stakes. There's no history of He-Man fighting Geldor. There's no history of, what kind of friendship that Dagon and He-Man have, which as we get into it would kind of have to be a little tweak there, because Prince Adam's really not focused on at all in these 84 comics, and he came out in the 84 wave. Like, he's not really a focal point. It's pretty much just He-Man for the most part.
Yeah.
But
is that kind of a preference for you, that it doesn't focus as much on Prince Adam and it's more just like, all right, He-Man's already in this from the get-go?
I would prefer Prince Adam because I love the the transformation and the fact that he's living this double life. I just look at it as it's part of the last remnants of when, like, there was no. I mean, Prince Adam was in the DC comics, but not really expanded upon until Filmation comes out, and it's just kind of what Mattel was going with. Like, Prince Adam was just non-existent for the most part, and then it's just He-Man. Like, he's always He-Man, and I appreciate that, because that's kind of what what was already established there. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, how far back were these mini comics written before there's, okay, we're really going to push the Prince Adam aspect because the cartoon is doing so well. They're using that a lot. We need to incorporate that. And of course the figure comes out this wave too. But Prince Adam is, as far as I know, I think maybe in Double-Edged Sword. Just before we get into this, I kind of feel like I just have to correct myself here, because if I screw up, you leave the screw up. But yeah, Prince Adam is featured, very, very early in Double-Edged Sword.
Okay. And
then the rest of it is pretty much just He-Man. So he's not used a great deal. But I don't mind it so much. This cover, though, is above and beyond epic. And it left an impression on me Christmas of '87 when I got Whiplash. And this was the comic that was packaged with him. And you can't read, So you just looking at the pictures and just seeing Grayskull behind He-Man, and He-Man's taking on this guy. I don't know who he is, but he's a bad guy, because look at him, he's got a mohawk and this intense mustache and this big ass axe, and just
I like how they accentuate the weapons here too with the
and He-Man's power sword is drawn off model again. It's I'm not sure why Larry illustrated it that way. I'd be very curious to know what his, and it's by this point it's probably so far gone he probably wouldn't even remember why he chose to draw it that way.
I do want to zoom in on here because also the letterer is none other than
Sakai, creator Usagi Yojimbo, man.
Yes, I thought that was an interesting little tidbit there. But you mentioned Larry Houston; he's the penciler here. So we have all the other names. Do any of the other ones stick out to you at all?
Lee Norling was the editor, I think, on damn near most of the mini comics. Michael Lee and Charles Simpson, no clue on that. But Charles Simpson does a great job on the coloring. A lot of the characters, like the created characters and the monsters and things like that, are given. They're given some kick-ass designs by Larry, but then the colors, help, add even more life to them a lot, as well. So it's a great ensemble cast of the people of the talent behind this mini comic.
Yeah. Well, He-Man and the Sorceress are observing through mists of sight, thanks to the Sorceress, and looking down below, and she's saying, look, He-Man isn't that Prince Daikon. He was one of your childhood friends, and now he's in grave trouble. So, yeah, you can already start. It's like this is all we know about the prince. And you would have to think that Adam is mingling with other royalty on Eternia. Other kings are coming by, or just other members of the hierarchy coming through. And Adam, of course, I kind of equate it to like Thanksgiving meals, where the adults are going to be sitting here and all the kids are at the kids' table. So Adam's got to mingle with the kids. So you sit there, childhood friends. Clearly, these guys grew up together a little bit, would see each other often. And that's kind of about all we know about him.
And it's unfortunate because it's kind of played off like there's no acknowledgement of Prince Adam in this story. Like Daikon only knows He-Man. He's friends with He-Man. And it's kind of one of those. It's like one of those minor nitpicks. Like we know why it was written this way.
Yeah,
it's not like now it's done deliberately to ignore everything.
No, but now it's playing into what you're talking about, because when I'm reading it, immediately I'm thinking Prince Daikon, he hung out with Adam.
Yeah.
So that's where my brain's going. And you're like, no, actually, that's not the case. Daikon only knows him as He-Man. So now I'm like, yeah, all right, that's the way that they wrote it. So it would kind of make more sense that it would be the other way around, that it would be more like Daikon has been around. I mean, maybe he has been around Adam. And
it is, and there's no reason to think that it wouldn't. But obviously the story is pushing the presence of He-Man and not the Prince Adam secret identity at all, which, there's no harm in that. But like breaking it down into kind of elaborate on who these characters are, like it really would need to be, Adam and Daikon knew each other from childhood. Daikon's father was, I'm sure, allies and good friends with Randor. That they supported each other, and Adam and Daikon would get to hang out as kids and flirt with girls and things like that. So it's just fun to think about, because that's really the only backstory we get to any of these characters, that Adam / He-Man were childhood friends with this prince that we're introduced to. So as he is seeing Torgal, which we're not really given any idea of who Torgal is in connection to Daikon, other than he knows the location of the secret liquid of life, and this warlord, barbarian, tyrant, whatever you want to refer to as Geldor, is captured him and demands the location, and commands these very vicious looking creatures all throughout the book of this particular issue. So you're given a lot already here in this one page. And even though you're not given any backstory, it's fun to think about what are the connections here. Is Torgal like a confidant to Daikon's father? Like his royal advisor, knows a lot about the history of Eternia and things like that, and just happens to know something that most people do not know, in the location of the secret liquid of life.
You were talking about the creatures, and they are aplenty in this mini comic, and it's actually kind of one of my favorite parts. Is just the different species that we're going to see along the way. But He-Man goes and finds. We got Buzz-Off, Ram Man, Tila here, looking a little bit different than what we're used to.
Very much so, and I makes you wonder too. Like everyone else is damn near spot on. I mean, Ram Man is
Ram Man's pretty skinny here.
He's skinny and he's tall as everyone else. Which,
yeah,
James has confirmed that he was supposed to be depicted that way, not be dwarf in size. Even though he's not a dwarf, he's just shorter.
Right.
And but he was originally supposed to be the same size as everybody else. I mean, so really he's drawn correctly, but he's not thick. He's muscular, but he's not drawn as brawn, as we know him in Filmation or how he's depicted in other versions. And why Tila is depicted so, and I have no problem with Tila being a brunette because she's hot as fuck in the live action movie being a brunette. So I'm cool with that, but she just looks like she could be a random character, And I mean, if they were not referred to as Tila, you would never know she was Tila at all.
Yeah, absolutely, because the design is completely different. But of course, Ram Man is excited. Oh boy, maybe there'll be some work for him.
Wait, we go back because we kind of left out that Daikon finds the heroic warriors and Buzz-Off. This is kind of like one of his earlier appearances too, and just saying my radar tells me there's no one there and it's safe to talk. And I guess he's just thinking about his vision, like he's got in kind of, I won't say like not mechanic eyes. He's not really depicted as like having enhanced sight or even a mental radar or anything like that. So I'm not quite sure.
Well, maybe it's kind of one of those like insect instinct kind of things.
Yeah.
Like how flies are always a step ahead of you half the time. If you're not trying to get them with a fly swatter. Yeah,
that's a very good point. So that's pretty much probably what that's trying to imply there, and that Daikon is like, I need your help, and Battle Cat's drawn correctly too.
Yeah,
which it's just like He-Man's drawn correctly, Battle Cat's drawn correctly, Buzz-Off's drawn correctly, Ram Man is drawn the way he was supposed to be, and then Tila is just drawn with this kind of yellow, outfit.
Yeah.
Which I mean, there's no harm in it, but if a tiara had just been put on her head, then I think you would know right off, that this is supposed to be Tila. And then a secret dungeon, like I'd love, it's kind of makes you want. I mean, it's just like a secret mountain hideaway because you get, you get a little bit of that towards the end there. But I love this atmosphere of Geldor. You can hear like the Filmation music, like the Snake Mountain music playing as it would cut to like Geldor's secret hideaway, and is they're trying to interrogate, and just the way he's drawn, like that pose, like with his fists at his sides there. The wizard's just kind of there observing, waiting to be, told to act, and
very well illustrated right here. When you get this first close up of Geldor, I was like, yeah, he looks really badass right here.
And he was definitely, it was confirmed. Yeah, he was inspired by Mr. T at the time. So an evil Mr. T. And I like the fact that they gave him this white beard and white mohawk, that it's not, and I don't see it as age. It's just white.
Yeah.
And it looks cool. Very menacing. And the wizard too is drawn with this kind of very long, it looks kind of Merlin-esque, like an evil version of Merlin.
Yeah. Tyler, you would be more than capable of growing some facial hair like that. You should do it.
I remember trying to draw something like that.
I remember when you had a Fu Manchu.
Yeah, I did do like the handlebar, like Fu Manchu kind of thing, and it just nah. I've seen pictures of me sporting it from like 2005. I think.
Yeah, 2005.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm cool with the shadow, and that's about it. As epic as that look is, I couldn't pull that off, and I don't think anybody else would want to see me wear.
Yeah, man, you grow it like that, you could definitely go ahead and just do a mohawk with your hair. Yeah, you can be Geldor, man.
God.
But we see the wizard is about to fetch Torgal's daughter. We see him conjuring up.
Yeah, the beautiful Marin.
Yeah, this is another great great panel shot, just the big wide
Yeah,
spot. It's like, Father, help me, and of course, my child, what are you doing? And how can one let go of an illusion? Because he's saying, "Let her go now." And I mean, look at him
that
laughing.
right there, I always thought was so damn cool. That shot of like the light illuminating from the illusion, splashing on him, and that look of him leaning back and laughing, like, we got him, you old fool. And Martin's drawing quite beautifully there.
Yeah. But it turns out that the secret liquid of life is buried in the Ogre's Cavern in the Mystic Mountains. So once again, Mystic Mountains is something that you would come to know its location a little bit, and hearing, oh, there's an Ogre's Cavern here.
Yeah, which I was mistakenly had said that was Geldor's hideaway, and it's not. So people bear with me there. I just screwed up on that one there.
Hey,
but we don't. But we really don't get any idea. I'd like to think that he probably has like a castle hideaway of some kind. Like a small,
absolutely.
Secluded castle. That's just he controls all these various beasts and creatures at his command, and a wizard. And which that's like, man, that's something you'd like to see a lot more of, man.
But at the same time, too, that goes back to the whole thing of maybe that's more of a positive, that we don't know as much about him. It's like,
yeah, I mean, you do see, I forget there too. I mean, you do see remnants of a castle of some kind that Geldor resides in. Like it's his dungeon, which I'm sure there's a little bit more to it. But these are some of the most dynamic poses of all the mini comics. And He-Man sword's drawn just like it is on the cover there too.
Mm-hmm.
But
I was just about to point that out. It's kind of curious why Larry decided to go that way.
Yeah,
with the sword.
And all these ogres are all carrying axes. It's like they're carrying Geldor's signature weapon. And that intensity of ramming into two of the ogres and showing the effect like on their faces, and the effect of how fast and hard Ram-Man is,
smashing into
them, and that all the heroic warriors are just kicking ass all over the place. I mean, He-Man's, taking on two of the ogres. Tila's whacking one right in the face or in the chin there, and it's an epic panel, and it just continues on. Essentially, as one big splash panel.
Yeah.
And Daikon is grabbing one by the throat and side kicking another. Buzz-Off stinging the shit out of one around the neck, and then Battle Cat's taking on, one right there in the foreground, and then two more. I mean, this is a epic sequence here with a lot of impact, a lot of effect, and really getting these characters over is like they're all ass kickers, all of them.
And now we have a giant centipede. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, and it's massive too, and drawn so well with like the ridges and the squishy skin, and just the mandibles are salivating, like it's just ready to eat and devour everybody there. And goes right for He-Man because he's leading the charge, and it's like, fuck you, and just knocks the hell out of it. And just seeing that snapping. I always love seeing that in comic books when a character punches another, and seeing their neck snap back from the impact of that, and just having that centipede's head almost touch its ass because it's been knocked so far back.
Yeah. It's actually interesting here if you zoom into this part, like just the little bit of detail of having some of the shadow, like the grip's not entirely like full on there. There's a little bit of space, and I like that you can sort of see that with the lighting there and the shadow work underneath.
It's beautiful depth work.
Yeah. And you got to think too, like mini comics, we're talking 14 pages, so they're cramming a lot of stuff in here in such a short space.
Yeah, and maybe in the original script, maybe there was a little bit more of expansion on the backstory, or a little bit more going on, but it's just boom, 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 boom. There's no real downtime at all in this story.
So once they get past the giant centipede, they find Torgal, and he's saying the evil ones told me they have my daughter. I believed them and told them everything. So of course, the prince was to be married to her. So once again, it's just more stuff of just like, all right, well, where does she? If this is Torgal's daughter and she's going to be marrying the prince, then what dynamic exactly is there? Because, we're talking about Torgal, and you were mentioning earlier that maybe he's like an advisor, or he's this or that. And yeah, you don't know for sure, but obviously he's got to be up there pretty high if his daughter is to be married to the prince. So do you see that kind of more of maybe more of like an arranged marriage as opposed to they're in love with each other?
I would lean more towards probably something of like they knew each other as teens and really just kind of I would never use the arranged marriage concept because I know that's something in certain cultures, but I just feel like in Master of the Universe, I would like to feel like everyone is pretty much like
everybody's in love.
Yeah, they're in love and it's done at their own free will and not due to having something arranged theirs. And obviously because she's really hot, he's like, oh my God, I was going to marry that chick, and got to get her back. And I love in this the bottom shot, it's Daikon that's carrying Torgo, not He-Man.
Yeah.
A lot of times it'd be He-Man like carrying the wounded, character in the story, but they're all like, oh no, we got to get out of here. We got to find Geldor, take on his monsters before we can stop him.
Yep. And they quickly reach the destination because, hey, we only got 14 pages. But over there is the Ogre's Cavern. I hope we are not too late. The entrance is sealed. Ray Man, we got a job for you. And he says, with pleasure, slams right through it.
And the scale, like seeing how small they are and compared to the entrance to the cavern is quite epic. And they are greeted right there by them.
Yep.
Dirty Gnolls.
The Gnolls. Which kind of... they kind of bear a resemblance. I feel like I've seen something in like this design scheme before.
The head, like if you close in, kind of looks like Beta Ray Bill on the front.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like the teeth and the like the snout almost looks very like the side profile of Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah. That's probably where I'm pulling it from then, because it does look oddly familiar.
With like a mohawk, like down the back, like that's kind of like connected to their body of some kind, like a big fin.
Yeah, but the cool thing about these guys is they can drain your strength just by looking at
you. Yeah.
But this also goes back to when we were doing our power rating last week of Snakeface. It's like, all right, well, their own reflection. Look at that. That's what's going to take them out. So
yeah, this just kind of I feel like that could be overused too much, and I think for obviously. It would have more impact when you get a whole fleet of Gnolls like staring at you at once and absorbing your strength and energy. I mean the reflection. I mean I guess it could easily just as work, just sending it right back at them. But it's a quick way of wrapping up that sequence because there's so many battle sequences in this book that you just don't have a whole lot of time to expand upon like the weaknesses and stuff. And this one with this brain visible in a dome on its head is it's kind of reminiscent of like it makes you think of the original Alien design too, where it has like the shell over the skull of the alien, and then I think of like Mother Brain from Metroid or what's his name, the villain from Turbo Man and Jingle All the Way. Where his brain is visible in this tank on his head.
But hey, that would have made a great action figure. Have that translucent.
Oh my God, yes.
Plastic, the brain visible.
Yeah, because there was a concept character, that I called Brainstorm that had like a translucent shell over this massive brain. Mm-hmm. It's a shame we never got something akin to that, where the brain is visible on a creature like that. But He-Man snaps in action with that and just lassos the hands together and has like this mighty Chuck Norris Van Damme kick right to the face and just, again, snapping that head back, showing the impact of one kick.
You don't get as much, like, obviously you get an idea of the scale here, but you don't really realize just how big this monster is.
Until the final shot, the final blow.
But we're still not done because Geldor is dropped down right as Daikon is obtaining the secret liquid. Of course, we get those.
And the shot there, too, of them up there in shadow, just observing, waiting for them to, like, pull it out. It's almost like they're just like, I know they're here. Let them let them do me a favor by actually removing it, and then I'll go down and seize it.
Yeah.
It's a great pose of him coming down on one rope.
Rappelling down, but also too these creatures that are with him, I just great designs all around on
Oh
all
my
these.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Just vicious and look very formidable.
But it won't be hard, He-Man, to give me that because I have your friend. So Tila along the way has also been captured.
By the Gnolls.
And we have to point out that this time it's not an illusion.
Yeah.
So He-Man's like, yeah, all right, you can have it. Oh, whoops.
Like, oh, fuck.
So this is when we get here too, because it's been referred to as the secret liquid, and now here being the secret of eternal life. So do you think that this was a decision that they decided to put in here that's like, hey, we have to at least kind of describe
why he wants it so bad? Like, what is the purpose of liquid of life? Like, it's like if someone does Geldor know, are they dying? And if they drink this, they'll live, and whatever illnesses they have will be absolved of their body. But yeah, the fact that that's put in bold print, it definitely sounds like what you're implying there, that they like, okay, we really need to emphasize what the purpose of this is, because we're not really establishing why this is so significant to Geldor and why they don't want him to have it.
Yeah. But I mean, Geldor just saying here, with it I shall become more powerful than you. So maybe he's not really looking at that because you're thinking eternal life. He's going to live forever.
Yeah, and almost like, does that mean he's impervious to pain and to being wounded? Which, if that's the case, then He-Man could never harm him.
Yeah, I guess that is the thing too that I never really thought about.
That's a good thing about this discussion, man, because there's so much broken down here that is not elaborated.
Well, because I always think of the thing too of just, oh, you would just drink it so you kind of preserve it at the age that you're at, so you no longer get to the point to where you would die from natural causes. I guess you could look at it from the Indiana Jones Last Crusade aspect, where he drinks from the cup after he's about to die. So I don't know.
Well, and even that too, that would mean that Indiana Jones would not age, or that he ages, but because they imply that the knights who found it, one stayed behind. Obviously, he drank from it, but he's excessively old. He's not strong at all, but he's still alive. So it's almost like, does it slow down the lifespan, or does this secret liquid of life, you maintain what you have at the moment that you drink it, that you never lose it,
But yeah, I didn't think about the aspect too. Is like, yeah, you're impervious to pain potentially, I guess, but also that doesn't make so it's like there's so many rules at play here with this.
Well, and it could be just where Geldor is just convinced that, or just thinks that if he drinks it, that he will be more powerful than him, knowing full well, like, no, the power of Grayskull is what gives He-Man his strength, not this. Liquid. I couldn't imagine anything on this planet being more powerful than the power of Grayskull, because all the more reason why everyone is after it. So this has become just like he's just convinced that this has got to be his key to success of defeating He-Man once and for all. And once it's dropped and the water falls into the ground and uproots this massive tree on sight, and apparently devours Geldor within the tree, which
that'd be a terrible way to go.
Yeah, and creates this beautiful, massive tree that just, dwarfs everyone. It would make all the Ents in Lord of the Rings look teeny tiny, as big as that tree is. That's a sky tree almost.
Yeah. Maybe it's Sky Tree's origin right here. But Dacon's saying, "Oh, we'll get married beneath this tree,"
which is a nice little touch to wrap up like this beautiful thing that happened from all this evil that's been going on. And I like this panel too: a Buzz Off, He-Man, and Ram Man standing with the new characters and Battle Cats just smiling like, oh, "This is great."
And Dacon asking He-Man if he wants to be his best man.
See, that's the thing though. He would be asking Adam. And if that were really the case, that Dacon really admired He-Man more than Adam, which is also a possibility.
Yeah.
It would be like, obviously he's like, yeah, I'd be honored to do that. And it's like, oh my God, like this guy would much rather He-Man show up than the guy that he grew up with.
And there you go. So Dacon goes back and he asked Prince Adam to be one of his groomsmen. So then,
oh man,
So now he's got to decide who he wants to be to go to the wedding. There we go.
Yeah, that would make for a nice little dilemma in the follow up. And of course, everyone's praising He-Man. He's always the best man. He's like, I'm proud to stand by you. And Torgal just continues to sing He-Man's praises as the story wraps up.
Can I admit though, I kind of don't like how this mini comic ended at all.
I won't argue that. This is never celebrated as like one of the greatest mini comics ever written. I think because it's more about Geldor and Daikon more than anything else. Because as we just kind of went through this, there's a lot to this that's not really explained. And that's kind of one of the setbacks of having mini comics. Even at 14 pages, you don't have a whole lot of time and space to kind of establish who these characters are and where their place is. It's like, no, we got to get going.
Yeah.
And the fact that really, this mini comic is not about selling a new character, even though Buzz-Off is the newest character featured in this year of mini comics. It's not promoting any of the new toys that were really coming out at the time. This Slave City and Double-Edged Sword. I mean, Double-Edged Sword features 2 shots of Cobra Khan, and that mini comic is packaged with him, yet he's not featured prominently in it at all. It's like these series, this Double-Edged Sword and Slave City are very heavy in new characters and stories that revolve around them, and not really pushing Double-Edged Sword maybe a little bit more, but pushing this narrative of He-Man interacting with these new villains on Eternia, new creatures on Eternia, and meeting new heroes, new friends, like in Gorn and Daikon in this, or in this case, we're being introduced to someone that He-Man has known a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
But that cover right there, that's something I wish we got to see more of, is He-Man and Geldor, battling it out.
Yeah,
because it really sets the stage to look like this is a new villain, someone that He-Man has either fought before or that will go on to become one of his many nemesis in the mythology. Like Skeletor's busy with something else, and the Hordes hasn't shown up yet. The Snake Men haven't shown up yet. You've got Geldor causing trouble on Eternia.
Do you see Geldor kind of being one of those characters where it's not so much in the same vein of Skeletor, like that he wants the power of Grayskull, but more like he's going after all these other things? Do you see him more as a character doing that, or what else do you see for Geldor doing?
I see him as a character of like greed and desire, not to the scale of Skeletor, where he just wants absolute power and wants to rule everything. In his mind, like most films, they want to rule Eternia, but I think in his mind, I'd like to think that it's more about a personal vendetta towards He-Man. Like, this guy has tried to win various battles, claim various, victories, trophies, prizes, whatever the case. And He-Man's always been there in hand-to-hand combat, sword fight, like the power sword versus this battle axe. And, He-Man has always trumped him and stopped him. And it's more about like, I just have got to beat this guy. I know I'm better than this guy. I want to be better than this guy. What could I gain to give me the edge over the most powerful man in the universe? And that this is more about fighting He-Man than in the purpose of Grayskull. And I like that. The concept that it's not just always constantly revolving around a new villain wants to take control of Grayskull. Like, yeah, Skeletor's kind of already got that claimed, along with Hordak and King Hiss. Like the 3 major factions, they're going after the grand prize. This guy should be more about like, I want to destroy, I want to break He-Man. I want to prove that I'm a superior fighter. I'm better than he is, or there's something that I want and He-Man has denied me, and it's just more about stopping him, making it more, more level, and it's not like the fate of the planets, the universe is at stake here. It's just like, I think a more grounded rivalry between these two.
How excited were you when you're collecting classics in this figure?
Oh, it was wonderful, and I think it was unanimous across the board. The fans were thrilled. They're like, oh my god, we're finally getting Geldor, and he comes with his axe and the secret life, and he looks phenomenal. The horse did an amazing job with the sculpt of him, and he's spot on with his great Fu Manchu / sideburn mustache and that menacing look on his face. So he looks like he stands appropriately with the various evil warriors on Eternia. and rightfully so. It is just again, that's one of the many things that makes this property so good is that there were so many one-shot characters from mini comics to Filmation and various other outlets, from the magazine or UK annuals where like random things just kind of show up for one time only. And people gravitate. Like, I want to know more about that character. And that's something that was done continuously through this property and something that I don't know how often that would happen in other, properties. So oftentimes it'd be a staple in the cartoon, like in Thundercats. You'd have like a recurring regular character. Maybe they wouldn't have an action figure, but they would be regular part of the mythology. You get to know a little bit more about them. G.I. Joe is pretty well expanded. Same thing with Transformers. But He-Man had a lot of made-up characters, and they had their one time to shine, and they were never seen again. And it just gives you more of a desire to see. We don't need to make up new shit. Look what was already given to us for this entire run. There's so much more to expand upon this stuff.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like, nah, I'd like to make up my own bullshit.
I looked it up. You can get the classics Gildor here for $35.
Is he loose, mint on card, or
mint on card? You can get it $35.
That's a hell of a deal, man.
Yeah,
but
Gildor did also come out in Origins, so if you're looking more into that scale, he's available there for roughly about $25-$30. So yeah, very affordable. So if you get in on some Gildor, give him some love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a cool.
Him and Prince Dacon both deserve a lot of love, and I know our buddy Tom Breisky is a fan of the character because he did like a nice illustration, I believe, of how Prince Dacon would be, brought to life in the classics line. I think he did a really beautiful job with that, and I think a lot of people in general just feel like that's a character that was drawn very cool. He's drawn like a warrior. He's not drawn like this noble prince character who just has his ass powdered his whole life, and this guy can get out there and kick some ass. And that's what you want to see, you have your posh princes here and there, like your cousin Jeremy or Lady Edwina, characters that are just, up their own ass. But it's cool to see other royalty on this planet that, no, they're just not there to, hold court, and rip some new asses all over the place. And something that Larry Houston did a lot was how he drew Grayskull. It was like almost like a four-sided fort.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's depicted here, because Grayskull is not shown at any other point in this mini comic, and that was something he would do a lot too. Is that he always made sure Grayskull was featured prominently in the center of the mini comics he did, at least on the covers, for the most part. Clash of Arms is the battle with Fisto. Grayskull's not using it at all, but it's on the cover prominently, and then on the last page of the mini comic when He-Man, Stridor, and Fisto are riding away, they just happened to pass Grayskull, which was right next to the Arena of Doom. It's just like, I'm sure it's like, can you make sure you work in Grayskull? Because everything revolves around Grayskull. Mm-hmm. But the way he would draw it, it looked like a common fort. It always thought it was quite fascinating. And I just as a kid, thought the way he drew it on the cover looked really, really cool.
Yeah,
because it was a lot of times people would have their own interpretation of how Grayskull should be drawn, and it was never drawn constantly like the toy or even like Filmation. It was just
if you had to pick between the two, what would you prefer, like the toy or like Filmation?
Filmation drew it in the most grand. I think a lot of people would prefer to see the toy drawn, but Filmation's when you that opening shot, when you see it in the opening sequence of He-Man, the front of the drawbridge and that purple and blue and black, it doesn't get any grander than that. But I'm happy with either. But that would be my preference though.
And you've never been one too much to be a stickler for how Grayskull is drawn in other forms. You're just kind of sometimes just happy that it's shown, or do you get kind of nitpicky with that sort of thing? Because looking at it here on the cover, and you said that Larry Houston always made a point to somehow include Grayskull around there. When you look at it, it looks off to me. Is that one of those things that you would be nitpicky about? You're like, oh no, I'm just happy to see it.
I think for me, it was just like, it's there. I knew what it was. I didn't look, and I was like, that doesn't look like the toy, or that doesn't look like the cartoon.
Yeah, you're just
it's always there. And it's always like in Slave City when you got Lodor holding He-Man's head, ready to slam his mace into his head. Grayskull's in the background
Hmm.
on this big hill, you know, a double-edged sword. It's like the man-eating plants or devouring or attacking He-Man and Leon. Grayskull's in the far background. You know, when you open it up, there's no presence of Grayskull anywhere.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was so cool. It's one of the things that Kevin Sharp did with that mini comic cover he did a while back for me, is that it was a thing that Larry would do in his covers, and that may have been something that was asked of him by Mattel. Is like, always include our main playset in the background, even if the story does not use it.
Mm-hmm.
The kids are always being reminded, Grayskull, Grayskull, Grayskull. You know, and that always just stuck with me, is that it's always in the background. It's always around somewhere, even if it's not being used in the story. So
that would be something cool to ask him if it was Mattel kind of pushing that you have to have this there to sell the toy, or if that's something that you yourself decided to include just to have it there. Out of 10 though, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and rate this. So Secret Liquid of Life mini comic, out of 10, what would you give it?
It's a good, simple action adventure story, you know, and it doesn't slow down. All the artwork is amazing. The creatures are amazing. We don't get to see He-Man and Gilder actually duke it out like you're kind of led to believe on the cover. But it's still a fun story. It's not Clash of Arms. It's not Hordax mini comic. But I would probably give it a strong 7.
I was thinking 7 as well. Obviously I'm going to dock a point or two off just how it ends, because it's building up to something, and just to simply drop it, have it smash on the ground, and then a big tree just grows up, and then not only does it do that, but it devours Geldor. I'm like, nah, that's not it.
I had no problem with. I mean, it's an odd ending. I've just kind of learned to roll with that, but to not have like a climax fight with He-Man and Geldor, it at any point in this story, especially with that cover, you're like, oh man, like we should have seen these guys at least clash sword and axe at least once.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't happen, especially when it's implied that these guys have a bit of a history. You know, that they know who He-Man knows who he is, and Geldor obviously wants to be better than He-Man. So I feel like there's an implied history that's just not elaborate, which you clearly don't have time to do. But I mean, look at that. Like, I want to see more of that. I want to see these guys, especially with it being in front of Grayskull. It would have been interesting, though, for this mortal tyrant to set his sights on Grayskull, and would have the ego to think that, you know what, I can stop He-Man, and I will take that castle he's been protecting all this time. I don't know what's in there. He's clearly doing it for a reason. If I beat him, I probably have the ultimate power. And knowing virtually nothing other than hearsay and rumors about what Grayskull would really be about, what's inside there. If you do get in, what will become yours? And is he aware of the sources on the inside?
Mm-hmm.
You know, having someone with no knowledge of it, but the ego to think that he could do it, I think would make him an interesting villain. Is he a one-note villain? Sure. But you know what? I don't need villains with a lot of layers and textures and depth. You know, they need to be an asshole, you know, a great asshole, someone that you feel like, you know, can give him a good fight.
Right.
I don't need to know that, you know, the tragic childhood story or why he feels like he's owed something because his, you know, like some bullshit Scott Nylick would write.
Something happened to him in his past.
It's just like, no, fuck you.
So seven's all around for both of us. But Tyler, the other reason that you chose this is because didn't you say that you had a little something extra you kind of wanted to add?
Yeah, and I've already touched on it a little bit in a prior episode, but I did have, and I think I told Nathan this in private, like a good while back, that I had this concept of how to bring Geldor back, and I didn't think about, wait a second here. I've already written or had this great idea that I've had the beginnings of and images and things like that of like the Scareglow mini comic that I wanted to do, where he is the sole antagonist of the story, called The Bride of Fear, where he on the eve of the wedding of Daikon and Marin, Scareglow abducts Marin because he's infatuated with her. He wants her for himself. And but on the day of the wedding, they realize that the tree of life has been destroyed, because that's where the wedding was going to be held. And like, what the hell happened? Like, when did this happen? And no one knows. And as Scareglow is the camera's like, never to worry, you know, we'll hold the wedding ceremony here. It'll be no expenses will be denied. We'll make this the grandest wedding possible. And Scareglow's watching and observing this whole situation. Is like he's just like, oh, well, this is a beautiful woman. Like I want her for my own. And he turns to the side and is like, are you ready for your revenge? And the person in shadow is like, oh, more than you know. And it's Geldor. That he sought out Geldor, freed him from the tree of life and even's like, I will give you the secret liquid of life if you're willing to pledge your allegiance to me. Gives him what he's asked for, but the minute he drank that, he can never like be top dog. Like he is always in Scareglow's service. The minute he drank that, something that Scareglow concocted, like, yeah, you'll live forever just the way you are, but you'll be under my control.
Yeah.
And if you decide to turn on me, I take that from you, and you'll be nothing. But it's more about getting Geldor back into the story, like Scareglow at night. I had this vision of him approaching the tree of life at night during a lightning rainstorm. And as he looks closely into the tree, you see like the frozen image of Geldor, like within the wood of the tree, like the base of the tree, like it just like the tree just swallowed him up, like he's kind of frozen in time inside the tree. And that, he severs the tree, with his own power and breaks it in half. And then Geldor kind of falls, kind of like Han Solo and Carbonite almost, or like kind of like a version of like the Phantom Zone or something like that. But he is, I wouldn't say he's not dead or anything like that. He's just kind of frozen in time inside this tree. Or maybe you could say he pretty much was dead, and giving him the secret liquid of life, pretty much like, okay, yeah, you're alive. You'll be strong and combative and formidable. But the minute you turn on me, I take that life away from you, and I mean, you're nothing anymore.
Yeah, that kind of gives him the reason to never want to go against Scareglow either.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, I'm alive and everything again. So
and gives him like, look, I freed you from your prison. You serve me. You can get your revenge on He-Man. I can get the woman I'm like crazy about.
Poor Marin. Always getting captured.
And that's what I just felt like this. I always think of like her being like Holly Robinson, like that in terms of like beauty, or Robin Givens or something like that. And,
yeah.
And like she's kidnapped on the night of the night before the wedding. Very Freddy Krueger-esque. Like he's calling her name out like Tina to the hallways of the world, and everyone's asleep, and she's drawn to this green light. And she's awake and alert, like no one else can hear it but her, and she can't figure out where it's coming from. And then you see this green light come up from one end of the hallway and slowly come up behind her. And as it says her name, she turns, and then Scareglow lunges out of this green, light, and then she just takes her to his castle, which I like to refer to as the true island of fear. That Daikon and He-Man have to take a boat on this murky, haunted river to get to the island, to go through this haunted forest, to get to the castle itself, have to cross this massive canyon terrain on this rickety bridge that has spirits, like evil spirits in the sky, like creatures, things that trying to, scare people away. And He-Man and Daikon are like going against all odds. And I think had Mossman thrown into the mix.
Oh, why not Man at Arms? That way he can be in constant peril like he was in the NYP episode.
Save his dumbass. No, it's like Man at Arms gets used enough as it is. Like this, I just it would either just be a He-Man Daikon story, or like throw in one other guy. I even thought of like including Garn, like the Native American version of Garn, into the story to kind of honor a lot of like Larry Houston's original creations too. But just have them, trying to cross this treacherous terrain and avoid all these perils through the haunted forest, and getting to this trail, this windy cliff-based path that leads up to Scareglow's kind of like narrow, craggly castle. This like all these towers that kind of jut out and point, and it just looks like this one massive kind of thorn bush, but it's a castle. And having to break in there and find where she's at, do battle with Geldor, do battle with Scareglow, and try to escape the castle and get back through everything else. That was my concept for that. Is I just thought that'd be a fun, and having like Geldor, like even one of the mini comic covers, like like staring down Dacon and He-Man at the beginning of the bridge. You know, as long part of me is like, do they have a battle right there? Like, to kind of like, or is it more like taunting He-Man, like, I'm back. I have what both of you are after. I serve a new lord. Just, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of fun to be had with it. But that's what I was really thinking about.
No, it's a good idea. I'm sitting here smiling because I'm thinking about two ways when you're talking about Geldor being like, I'm back. So the first thing that popped in my brain was Eric Bischoff's theme when he's
God,
the GM.
I'm back.
Yeah, and better than ever. And then also South Park. The
Cousin Kyle.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, so either one of those. But yeah, you could easily envision that, and that maybe that's something you should get Kevin to illustrate as well.
That was actually going to be the idea I had him do before this, but you know, the more time passes, when I'm waiting for him to finish something, like, okay, I start thinking, okay, you know what, I kind of would like to do this now instead. So because I wanted to be like this big double page spread I had of like the heroes like approaching the rickety bridge, and on the other side leads up to this windy cliff based path up to Scareglow's castle with Scareglow's face in the sky, like looming down. Looking at them as, you know, like the fog that's below the bridge is just illuminated with haunting images in the fog, like just trying to emit like terror and fright and scare people. And you know, I thought like what I have Geldor at the front of the bridge, like, that you want her, you got to go through me, and you got to go through there, or like wait to have Geldor being unveiled, you know, to the heroes once they actually make it to the castle, or once they've gone through the haunted forest of fighting creatures and ghosts and things like that. Then they got to get past this bridge. It looks like if you farted on it, it would just collapse because it's so brittle.
Yeah. No, yeah, that would be one of the things too. Like, obviously, that bridge is going to have to collapse at some point in the story. Do you have it do that after they've crossed it, before they get there, or on their way? You probably got to do it on the way out, maybe.
I kind of feel like it would have to be like to the point where it looks like it's going to break, but it doesn't quite do it. And then on the way back, that's when the bridge breaks, and they have like an Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom, you know, where Geldor could be like on the bridge with them, and it's like, get Marin out of here. And then it's just left to He-Man and Geldor, you know, duking it out on the bridge, you know, something along those lines. Or Scareglow gets, because I feel like it's a Scareglow is the main villain, but like, which do you put more emphasis on? More on Scareglow? Because I feel like in the comic, it'd be a lot more like Dacon fighting Scareglow because he's the guy that took his wife, and Geldor wants revenge on He-Man just because, like, you know, look what you did to me. You know, so you have two kind of main battles. That's why I was like, do I put anyone else in there, and can I keep it with just Dacon and He-Man, because you got the two villains taking on the two heroes trying to save this beautiful woman? And
I would probably just do just those two. I think if you add anybody else in the mix,
it might be a little too busy in terms of, like, you know. Probably.
Unless, you know, like I said, you're gonna have Man-at-Arms there, and he's got like a ghost trap that he invented, right? So anything,
because you know, he worked with Egon, because we, you know, Serial Geek, you know, has the two of them illustrated together. James will know what I'm talking about when he
yeah. So 7 out of 10s for both of us. Tyler, you kind of like tacked on some more of like a sequel story, so that's really kick-ass. I can't wait to see when eventually you decide to pull the trigger on that. It's like, you know what, let's get this illustrated. Because that's stuff we need to just show off when you get those done, and have an episode that centers around, here's the concept that I had. Kevin drew this, show that on screen, and then you tell the story that you wrote with it. Or maybe not even like a full on story. It could just be like a paragraph synopsis kind of deal.
An outline. Because a lot of times it's you know, it can be a little bit difficult to write the full story, and other times I find it better to give like a big outline. Because you know, sometimes I don't know if it can be boring for me to actually read out the dialogue and, you know, set the scene here and all.
Oh yeah, it's like an audio book. Yeah, we're just sitting there taking it all in. But yeah, I guess before we get to our comments and questions, we will take a quick break. So we'll be right back after these messages.
Agents of Evil!
Greetings!
Think you can withstand this kind of strength? No way! He-Man has incredible powers! So do your worst, evil ones! Because if you wanted trouble, You've got it. This man is the champion of the forces of good, and he means business.
By the power of Grayskull.
He-Man on USA this morning at 11:30, 10:30 Central.
Batman's battle against crime never ends. And now you can bring the action home.
Batman, haha, you missed. Yeah, but I only missed once. You can't escape, Joker. Just watch if you can. You won't be alone for long.
And in the Batcave.
No criminal can hide from Batman. Batman, gotta run to jail.
Each item sold separately from Sharon Toy.
Krang, the master brain from Dimension X, ally of the evil Shredder, and Baxter Stockman, the wickedly winged scientists, are out to destroy the Ninja Turtles. Quick, Doc! Right, Ace-Doc, the Turtles' tough feathered friend, along with Genghis Frog, who's always hopping for action, always ready to fight on the side of the Turtles.
You'll be riveted to your seat.
From Playmates.
And we're back. So our comments on last week's episode, our power ratings, we actually had Darth Leon in the chat, who was, for the most part, I think towards the end, didn't give power ratings, but gave some as we were going along. And kind of roughly in the same ballpark as both of us. So it's kind of interesting to see when people are watching and commenting that and putting their power ratings that it kind of lines up a little bit. Now, some of the numbers slightly different by 1 or 2 points, but it was the power ratings are always fun. So first off, this comes from, I'm just going to Fanda. We're just going to say fan. Looking forward to you ranking Meteorbs. I'm like, yeah, Meteorbs, I guess, would be fairly interesting to power rate because they are different.
Meteors with animal qualities. I mean, obviously you have various animals represented and based on their strengths and things like that too. So yeah, I'll make sure to throw in a start including new adventures, a little bit more Princess of Power, some Meteorbs. I'm trying to think if there's anything else because Meteors were not depicted in classics, unfortunately. Plus, I think too that they were toys from Japan. It wasn't like an original Mattel concept. So it's one of the things I've often wondered if there was any kind of issues of even though they were released under the Mattel brand. Well, probably not so much because damn near all the Transformers were all Japanese toys, and they just like we're going to release them under our name and things like that. So I'll make sure to include the Meteors because they're definitely a heavily overlooked faction that just were not, they're part of the 86 wave that people just weren't taken to because people were fucking dumb back then.
And when we do start to power rate those, like obviously the whatever animal they are is going to play a major part.
Yeah, because they're not given a whole lot of, much like a lot of characters towards the latter part, they're just not given a lot of time to be developed.
Yeah,
they're here. These guys are evil. These guys are good. And that's pretty much it.
Casey Duncan, love the opening and great episode. So the intro that I put, because Tyler, since we recorded it, Tyler didn't see the opening I used, but it was the 87 where He-Man's got his, and then he turns around. That's one of the favorite ones I've put together too. And that's all from Tyler's brain of choosing the clip and the music that goes along with it. I just take the idea and smush it together and make it happen. So that's all on Tyler for thinking, this little piece of music would go great with this particular part, and you just have it here. And that's.
I'm glad you liked it, Casey. Nathan's done a phenomenal job putting all the entries that since we started doing Master Powercast, like he's putting all those together. I'll put this with this, and he blends them together. So we make quite the awesome tag team of giving in, I think, the most epic intro to any He-Man podcast.
And then also to the stingers that you see at the ends of the episode. Most of the time those come from Tyler. Sometimes I get an idea of I want to use this one. So Tyler's always hitting me with links, and the commercials that you're starting to see during the recorded shows here. Tyler sent me a shitload of those too.
But that was Nathan's idea. I just gave him the commercials. So
yeah, and also like I'm gonna start kind of digging through and finding some other commercials too, because I don't, because the possibilities are endless. It's like now I'm tempted to find commercials that aren't even toy or animated related. It's
well,
like
I even thought about including like movie trailers, like like TV spots.
Yeah,
like Batman '89. Starts Friday. Predator opens Friday everywhere. Something like that.
Yeah,
be kind of cool.
So just look forward to the mixture of commercials that we're going to have going forward. Gary Buchanan, love the episode. Have a great Thanksgiving. Yeah, as we are recording this, Thanksgiving was 3 days ago now.
Yeah, 3 days ago.
Yeah, Thanksgiving was good. Just my end of things, it's a smaller scale getting together. It's just the basics: your turkey, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, stuffing, pumpkin pie. So did that, sat around, watched some stuff, and it was a good time. So I hope everyone watching us had a great Thanksgiving. Glad Tyler's trip was smooth there and back.
Oh yeah,
he made it back in one piece, so we could have the show today. I mentioned Darth Leon, that was in the premiere chat when we showed off the episode. Said, shame this is recording, but great episode nonetheless. Hopefully you guys can get back to live. So recording went so smoothly, and it's way more laid back, and there's not that pressure. Because when we were starting to record this, I hit record, we let it go for a couple minutes. I'm like, all right. And then I actually started an intro, and then I felt like I fumbled it pretty bad. But I was like, no, it was fine. I was ready to follow your lead. And then I got him thinking about Wayne's World, which I don't know if you want to kind of describe.
Yeah, I think just how Nathan was like counting, it just made me think of like when Wayne's World decides to go more corporate, and they're actually in the studio and they're running down like how to run the camera, like when the show's getting ready to start, and they go 5, 4, 3. You didn't say 2 or 1. You don't say 2 or 1. Why not? You just okay. And it just made me think of like that's where my mind goes. With people do something, they have no idea that a movie could possibly be brought up in response to whatever they're saying or doing. And that's just how my mind operates. When he's counting down, thinking Wayne's World countdown, and just,
I'm going to have you just start doing that. Instead of me counting down myself, I'm going to have you do the countdown, and then you stop saying it, and then you point, and then we wait, and then I started. But yeah, it's just recording, I think, is going to be the way to go. I mean, I'll see how this recording has turned out, because I was noticing a couple times I was getting a little jittery. So got to make sure, because above all else, I don't want the audio and video being glitchy, because you guys, if you're going to sit here and watch for 90 minutes, 2 hours, sometimes a little bit longer, I don't want there to be any like lingering factors like that are just going to make it not pleasant to sit through and watch. Because some people have said too, because we do the audio version of the show that I upload. So, Spotify and Apple, like primarily the two sources. I think it used to, when maybe Amazon had a deal. I don't think they do anymore, but it used to be on there as well. If I'm trying to turn that into an audio only version, that's going to be awful for those people. But also I look at it too as like, it's awful for you guys, because some people put on the YouTube video and just like listen to it while they're doing other things. I mean, Tyler, you even mentioned that you YouTube a lot while you're eating your lunch, or like you're driving and you're just listening to the videos. So I want the quality in that regard to be the best that it can be. Lives are fun, and it's off the cuff and on the spot and everything, but recording them just ensures that I can make sure that everything across the board is good. And then I just like the fact now of just editing in the commercials and doing that way, instead of just like playing them on here and then hoping nothing messes up along the way. Because that always happened a few times too, where popping an image up on the screen, or even playing a video clip and it coming back, like the audio would get weird for whoever else is on here. Or in some cases, Tyler wouldn't even see the video at all. Like it would just be like a blank thing for him and come back like, I don't know, I didn't see anything. So I think recording is going to be the way for a while. I don't think the lives are totally out of question, because I was thinking too, like I would definitely want to do one of the wrestling things live where like we're watching something together, watching one of those old shows, whether it's one of those VHS uploads or
like a super tape or something like that.
A super tape or a Royal Rumble match or whatever it may be. I heard that Survivor Series last night was absolutely terrible. I saw the results and kind of looked at the stuff on Reddit, but I feel bad for the people because they're paying like the extra money for ESPN Unlimited to get those shows, and those shows aren't good. And I'm like, well, that's
what they're not available on Netflix to watch, like just Raw, like live Raw is the only thing you watch on Netflix now.
Yeah, it's stupid. They got everything split up. So Raw is on Netflix. The PLEs, as they call them, the premium live events, those are on ESPN. SmackDown is on USA.
That's on USA. It's not on the Fox network. Wasn't it on Fox?
No. Yeah, it was on Fox. Now it's on USA. So it's like once USA lost Raw to Netflix, then they got SmackDown, and then NXT shows on the CW. Yeah.
Well, they got the Shaft.
Yeah, and for now, all the content except for Raw is still on Peacock. Like all the old pay-per-views and like Nitros and all that stuff, that's still on Peacock, but I think that goes away in 2026. So I think that's why they have that WCW channel on YouTube and the WWE Vault.
Yeah,
because I think they're just taking that stuff and putting it on YouTube. So I don't know. It's a mess, and it kind of sucks because they own the libraries for so many other companies. And now it's like there's not going to be one central place. So it bums me out. I wish people would have realized, and I think they're starting to, just how good we had it with the whole $9.99 a month for WWE Network back in the day. I was a big fan of that. Yeah. So everything's getting.
This is all the brainchild of what's his name? Tony Khan? Is that his name?
No, not no.
That's AEW. And
yeah,
Nick Khan.
Nick Khan. Yeah. Tyler doesn't keep up.
No, I don't. I don't give a fuck.
Stuff.
Yeah. Most of it's, in my opinion, it just.
No, I do. Like I keep up with AEW, and I'll watch AEW. I should say. Though I didn't watch their last pay-per-view, and I was like, man, I probably should have got it because it looked like a great show. But I started seeing some of the results, and it's like once you start to see some of the results, I'm like, well, I'm not going to sit down and watch it now. But yeah, WWE. I'm only watching the old stuff. I'm just gonna go on Reddit and look at the results, and people post the clips of the finishes to the matches. So I'm like, I'll see that and just be, oh, all right, yeah, that did suck.
Yeah, but I mean to ask you what you thought about them putting WrestleMania over in, was it Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, that's gonna be 2027. I think the Royal Rumble is actually gonna be there this coming up.
And they were Nick Khan's convinced people in the States are gonna fly and put up all that money to go to that? Because...
No. It's that's more about get like that deal that they made with Saudi Arabia. So that's just like a big cash flow for them. The only people flying over there is the talent. I don't think many other people are taking the trip over there because it's got its things. I'll put it that way, but. Yeah, I'm personally, I'm not a fan of them doing like, especially taking bigger shows like that, established stuff. But like next year they're doing WrestleMania in Vegas again, so it's back-to-back deals, and I'm like, what? WrestleMania used to be in different spots year to year, and now we're going.
I would say WrestleMania was in the Trump Plaza twice. I think that was the only.
All right, yeah, there is that. I forgot about old WrestleMania 4 and 5, which are not good manias anyway. But aside from that, you would they would repeat locations. It's like, oh, they've done Orlando a couple times, they've done New Orleans a couple times, but just to do back to back in present day and doing it in Vegas, so it's like astronomical prices. I don't know. wrestling's in a spot, and admittedly, I'm kind of in that lull again, where I'm like, yeah, I'll watch AEW, but I'm kind of just out of it at the moment.
Is the company doing that well, where they feel like they're justified in making these decisions, or are they just like, it's under new controls and Vince is not there, and it's like, we're gonna do things the way I see fit?
It's the TKO business model, man. Like they did the same thing with the UFC. Like they're making money hand over fist, and that's just making so like the sets, like they've minimized like the sets. There's no like big grandiose sets much anymore for any of the pay-per-views, and even Raw and stuff is scaled down. And obviously they got all the adverts all over everything. Like,
which looks tacky as fuck.
It does. It really does. And that was, for all the shit that Vince gets, at least that was one thing he never really did.
Something he never did. Like the only sponsor you knew about was the promos that Jim would do during the,
the Fruity
matches.
Delicious Skittles. Yeah. Wrestling's in a weird spot, but they had like a Survivor Series marathon live stream going on YouTube, so I'm like, pop that up, and I'm like, oh, hey, here's Mean Gene dancing with the gobbledygooker.
I watched a little bit of Survivor Series 90 and 89 over the Thanksgiving break, and just like watching like the opening promo before the opening match of 90, I'm thinking, oh my god, there's Warrior, there's Legion of Doom, Kerry Von Erich, Tex Tornado, and Mean Gene, and they're all dead.
Yeah, they're all gone. Yeah, that's
fuck, man. Like,
I try not to think about it much, but yeah, you can't help it when you watch those shows. You're just like, all right, he's not here. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. And it's getting slim pickings now.
It is. And now when I watch, there was a promo or like a little thumbnail on YouTube. I think it was for Survivor Series, and they were using Andre, Macho Man, Hogan, and Warrior. I'm like, fuck. They're all dead.
Yeah, they're all gone.
I'm like, man, it's just.
But you also have to think that was like 40 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think about who's still with us. I mean, Robert's still with us, and Ted DiBiase.
Like, how about that? Like, of all people, Jake the Snake is the one that's still. Hey, I mean, I'm glad.
Me too.
You know what I mean? Like.
He had so many issues for so long of substance abuse, but he turned his life around and hopefully is continuing. But I think about the Sheik, like Sheik hung in there a long time and like never seemed to, seemed to be slowing down on substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or whatever the case may be. But
I think he was doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, A to Z as he would say all the time. But it's scary to think it's getting thinner and thinner of the 80s and 90s crew, you still got Brett and Nash and Michaels are still hanging around in there. And, I think Demolition's still alive. At least two members the original members of Demolition are still alive. The Axe and Smash, not the guy that came before Barry Darso, but which I can never remember who that guy was, part of the very, very original Demolition. But Speaking of the Horsemen, like at least you got Flair and Arn and Tully and Ole's still alive too, isn't he?
I don't know. I'll look.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like Sid is the only member of the or who was ever a member of the Horsemen no, Benoit's gone. Yeah. McMichaels is gone.
Yeah.
Henning's gone.
No, Ole passed away in 2024, which I was kind of thinking. I was like, yeah, I think Ole.
Okay. I think when I heard it, I just didn't give a fuck because I was never a fan of Ole's anyway. But Paul Roman's still alive. Trying to think like. Barry Windham's still alive.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few people of the Horsemen, and Sting, of course, is still alive. But
Josh went to WrestleCade, the convention over the weekend, and
where was that at?
Maybe it was in Greensboro. They always do it in the Carolinas, I think.
I wonder if it's that one, because I remember there was one in the summer many years back. Jim Ross and Honky Tonk Man were going to be there, and I was really wanting to go, but money was so tight at the time, and I didn't go.
Yeah, this was Winston-Salem. So
okay, I think that's where it was at. Yeah.
Yeah, Josh had made some 1/6 scale figures of Sting, the Giant, Raven, and he met all of them and had them. Well, Sting didn't sign the figure, but Raven signed the back of his on the jacket. And Josh sent me photos, and Raven's sitting there like holding it, looking at it. He's like got this big shit-eating grin on his face.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he said everyone was really, really nice. So I mean, that's awesome that he got to meet Sting, because I don't think Sting's going to be doing the convention circuit for too much longer. I don't believe. Or if he is, he's not going to be in full on makeup because he's still doing.
Well, he doesn't need to be.
Yeah,
I'm fine with. I would be fine with just seeing Steve Borden, and that's it. Like, I know who he is.
Yeah, just be like, you were my favorite wrestler as a kid. I was like, fuck Hogan, fuck Warrior. Sting is where it was at for me as a kid. And I just tell him too, if I ever did meet him, it's like, man, I was really bummed out about that whole Black Scorpion storyline. Even as a kid, it bummed me out. Rented the tape, watched it, and I was just like, Ric Flair again? Why are we doing this?
I'm sure he would concur with you on that. I was like, yeah, dude, kid, I was involved with so many shitty storylines that I was told were going to be so great when they said we're going to do it. Like, no.
Yeah, and hey, you can thank Ole Anderson for a good chunk of that shit too.
Oh yeah, was he? Was he on the booking committee at that time? Like,
yeah, it was like him, Dusty. I think Flair was on there for a minute, right? And then
he was the main booker, I think, when Jim Herd came along.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
You've watched more of the Cornette WCW timelines.
Yeah, I've watched.
Remember that more than I.
Yeah,
I do.
An overabundance, like multiple times, and just have memorized so much of the details that Cornette has shared. I just watching shoots in general, or the timelines that Sean Oliver put together were much enjoyed. I did watch the High Spots Ric Flair. It was like a 4-hour one, and of course the audio was bad because Flair's dipping the whole damn time, so you couldn't understand half of what he was saying.
Yeah, I remember seeing like trailers for that stuff.
Yeah,
and I was just like, tell him to take the fucking dip out of his, but they're probably not going to say that to Ric Flair.
No, and I think he had some legal issues with High Spots after that. Like, there was like some money discrepancies, which I always feel like there's always seems to be
with Flair. There's always some sort of money thing. I'll put up the photo. I'll just show the one with Raven here. I'll put it up on screen. But yeah, there's Josh.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, handing him the figure, and I could just see. Just Josh's pose right there with his hands. I've seen, and the way that he's smiling, like I've seen him do that, where he's just like this. He's like, yeah, no, it was really cool that he got to meet all those guys.
I'm glad it was a great experience too, because I thought WrestleCade would be awesome to go to, and that they had obviously had a very great guest list.
Yeah,
and that they're not.
Maybe that's something you and I should do down the road, because I would like to go meet some wrestlers, but you suck.
Well, yeah, I almost feel like our experience meeting wrestlers has been a lot better than meeting, movie celebrities, because even though we've had a lot of good experiences, still have that handful of like assholes and bitches where they're just, I don't know who you are. I don't know you. I don't like you. As of now, I'm all over you. I'm just quoting Encino Man there.
Dude, that needs a Blu-ray.
Yes, and a 4K.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just take a regular ass Blu-ray at this point.
Yeah, why Pauly Shore's movies? So even though he was not the most pleasant person to be around, but still love Encino Man, Son-in-Law, and In the Army Now are still classics.
Yeah, I need to. Hopefully, Brendan Fraser is still wanting to do conventions. I would still like to meet him and get the poster signed, because
that we had the trifecta. Yeah.
Since I've met Pauly Shore and Sean Astin, but drawing by hand, going back to the comments that we had on last week's episode. So glad Nathan, you've enjoyed the James Bond movies. I'm not a fan of Daniel Craig. Casino Royale's not bad. James Bond cartoons, some episodes are good, and there's some on YouTube, which I checked. James Bond Jr. You can watch all the episodes on YouTube. Then goes on to say, I've been checking out the rest of Chuck Norris films lately. Missing in Action 1 and 2 are great films.
Damn right.
I love Fantastic Four, but hard pass on the movie. I like the early 2000s, the first Fantastic Four, and Rise of Silver Surfer. That one was bad.
No.
And then for power ratings, suggested Lodar and Procrustes.
Okay.
So there's and then some New Adventures. Spinwit, Sagittar, Quake, great chat. And I recommended it to Drawn by Hand, Lone Wolf McQuade. That's a great Chuck Norris movie.
Absolutely. Invasion USA, which I would like to think most Chuck Norris fans have at least seen that one.
Yeah.
But that Missing Action 2 are my absolute favorites of the Chuck Norris movies. And I like the Octagon, even though it's a slow as shit movie with, as I get older, like this plot just doesn't hold much water. But as a kid, I loved it. It was all about the climax at the actual Octagon, base where they train all the ninjas, and seeing, Chuck show up and take on, the ninja enforcer and his stepbrother. But still, like, they don't do a whole lot to establish much of a sibling rivalry other than a couple flashbacks, and that's it. And it's like, man, you guys could have done so much more with this. And it's just, you got all these beautiful women in the movie, which is great, and a random cameo by Ernie Hudson. Like I love that. More Ernie Hudson, the better. But and Lee Van Cleef is in it too. Is it's just like it's still like a. And then you got the shitty narrating of Norris with his inner monologue, which has this whispering echo throughout the whole fucking movie. Like, oh my God, would you stop?
Do you think that was like a creative decision on his part?
I probably, it was someone. I mean, like, I have no problem with like an inner monologue, but it's distracting because it has this echo to it, and it's this loud, like, whisper echo, and it's just, even as a kid, I didn't like it. And I remember my dad was not a big Chuck Norris fan. He watched some, and he hated that, and he was very, very open about that. But even the climax, you're like, man, this you're building up to this big feud between the brothers, and they don't get hardly any screen time together, and it's just kind of like an afterthought. I'm like, damn it, man, like a great concept, and just they throw in all this filler stuff with one of the boyfriends from Black Christmas is the buddy AJ, and like, why is he here?
Yeah,
nothing against him, but it's just I'm getting off on a major side here. So
I just going back to James Bond. So I did wrap up the Roger Moore run, which the remainder movies that I had, Octopussy, A View to a Kill,
Octavagina,
where I mean, they were fine, but ranked a little bit lower on my end. But I gotta say, I did watch GoldenEye, and boy, like I loved it when I was younger. I said that, even mentioned before, that there's probably going to be a little bit of the nostalgia lens playing the video game and everything. But after watching Roger Moore's movies, putting on GoldenEye, well, it's absolutely one of my favorite Bonds, and it still holds up. I've stopped right there. I haven't continued on, but I did get the Blu-ray box set in earlier this week, so I gotta watch the Brosnans, and I'm looking, as I mentioned before, I'm looking forward to Casino Royale, but I feel like Daniel Craig is not going to be one of my favorite Bonds at all. So just to give everyone an update of my James Bond ranking, Spy Who Loved Me still number 1, Goldfinger number 2, GoldenEye is number 3. I kind of struggle with that one. I was like, maybe I should put a little bit lower, but no, it's gonna settle at number 3 for now. From Russia with Love, for Her Majesty's, or On Her Majesty's Secret Service at 5, License to Kill at 6, The Man with the Golden Gun, Living Daylights, Live and Let Die, You Only Live Twice, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, A View to a Kill, Thunderball, Dr. No, Moonraker, and Diamonds Are Forever is still at the bottom of that.
Diamonds Are Forever. Was that the last Connery one that he did officially, or the last one that he did unofficially?
No,
or the only one he did unofficially?
No, that one he did in the 80s is that's not that one. I haven't watched that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like the last official canon one.
That Connery did was Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that one was bad. So I did watch Teen Wolf, and you and I talked about it a little bit, and it's much like you said. I think Back to the Future was one that you mentioned. It's like, yeah, it wouldn't be in my top 100, but it's like, it's a good movie. That's how I felt about Teen Wolf. But that is a breezy 90 minutes, man. Like it starts and it's over. You're like, oh, okay, wow. But no, it's a lot of fun. And you were right. I did see at the end that is a woman.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. I was thinking, I could have swore that I saw, like, maybe it was on, like, I Love the 80s. or something.
Well, they talk. I mean, I feel like it was brought
But
up.
I thought someone was standing there and was actually like shaking their hips to move around. I could have swore I remember something like that. But
yeah, it's always everyone was always in the impression. Even Family Guy, when I used to watch it, they make a reference like, hey, yeah, there's a guy in the back. Like, no, it's not a guy. Dick's not hanging out or anything like that. It's just a woman with her zipper undone and catches it while the film is still going, like trying to zip herself up.
Yeah. Mandela effect, I guess, on that one.
Yeah, I think with a lot of people.
Yeah. And then on Thanksgiving, I watched Thanksgiving, where they actually where Eli Roth actually came out with a movie in 2023.
Yeah. How was it?
It was okay. It was solid for what it was. It does have the annoying teenagers. So the whole premise of it is it's Thanksgiving night, but it's still around that time when Black Friday bled into Thanksgiving. Like they don't do that anymore, but you remember it's like, Black Friday shopping starts at 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving night. So it's that. And then it turns into this big mass. It's basically like people are getting trampled and like someone gets hit with a cart and then like her hair gets caught in the wheel and it like rips off her scalp and all. It's very gory. So I appreciated that. But the teenagers in it they're about what you would expect on an annoyance level for teenagers that are in a movie in 2023, So
that's what sucks because they think they're doing an impression of what 80s teens, how they would have acted back then. Like, no, this is them. Back then they thought they were acting great. They were
no. But I'm saying like this movie takes place in present day.
Ugh, that's not good.
Yeah, so it's
because the trailer, like the mock trailer, looked like it was an old. Yeah, maybe late, like an 80s.
Yeah, you're thinking,
90s.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Grindhouse.
Yeah.
They do take some elements from that, but it was okay. It was solid. It's something that I think I would watch on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would recommend it. It's strictly just a watch, like Thanksgiving Day. But if anyone don't watch it while you're eating, I'll say that much. I did check out Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, which stars Leonardo DiCaprio and has Benicio del Toro in it and Sean Penn. Sean Penn with his haircut and he's walking like he's got a stick in his ass. And someone had left a review on it and just said, Sean Penn needs to play Vince in the biopic. And when you watch him, you're just like, he would make a good Vince McMahon in this. It was solid, but I'm still going to stand by Boogie Nights is my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Like I like There Will Be Blood a lot. I like his movies and I like the way that he crafts them. But yeah, this one a little bit on the lower end for me. But DiCaprio did fine. I haven't logged here because I haven't finished it yet. But I did get Tyler a copy of the Sandman cut of Halloween, so it takes Halloween 1 and 2. Puts them together. I was having playback issues on my PlayStation 5, but as I text you, Tyler, those drives are notorious for playing burned discs.
Yeah.
So I went into the bedroom. I'm like, here's the timestamp of when this is messing up on my PlayStation. I put the disc in the Blu-ray player. It's like Emily's Blu-ray player that she's had for over 10 years. And it played it fine. I was like, all right, yeah, it's just this stupid PS5 drive. But it's Halloween. Halloween's classic. Sling Blade. Oh man. So the whole reason I even watched Sling Blade, I bought it on Blu-ray a couple of weeks ago because it's out of print. Probably not going to be any 4K release anytime soon because it's pretty much in that hell like Kevin Smith's Dogma was, where it's wrapped up in the Weinstein Company and all of that stuff is not. It doesn't get re-released. Unless you're like Kevin Smith and he just bought the rights outright so he could put it out himself sort of deal. But got that in the mail a couple weeks ago and I've been meaning to put it in because it does have some scuffs on it. And I was like, that's odd for a Blu-ray. They have that coating on them that makes them damn near scratch resistant. So for this to have scuffs, I'm like, will there be any playback? And because the Sandman cut of Halloween on my PS5 was giving me some trouble. I'm like, well, let me just put Sling Blade in and see if it starts playing. And it turned into one of those things where I put it in and just started watching it while I think Emily was feeding one of the animals. And I just start watching it. And then before I know it, like I'm 50 minutes into the thing, I'm like, well, I'm just gonna sit here and watch Sling Blade. But yeah, one of my favorites of all time now. Like, I did not watch that in full for the first time, not until I think it was last year.
Yeah.
And watching it again, it just really solidifies. I'm like, yeah, this is an all-timer movie for me. It's like the dialogue is hilarious, even if it's not intended to be based off of words that are used. But the way Dwight Yoakam should have gotten a supporting actor nomination. I am not saying he should have won. I would have liked to, but he should have at least been nominated.
Yeah, I mean, he looks nothing like the country singer Dwight, because he just looks like such, you know, redneck trailer trash.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's with the shitty mustache, and the hair is all scraggly, and he's not wearing a cowboy hat or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
He wears it like one of those puffy hats, but you know, he just looks like people I've seen, you know, over the years that resemble that mentality. You know, that just loud, obnoxious drunks and think that they can beat the fuck out of everybody. Get out of my house.
That's one of my favorite parts, is when he's sitting there and he's telling people to get out. And then when it comes back on him and he starts getting bottles and shit thrown on him, and he just immediately cowers.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry. But then he just continues to talk shit that completely negates him apologizing. I'm like, it's such a good character, and for it to build the way that it does, not only with him, but just Carl trying to reassemble himself back into society, and he doesn't ever really fit in. And when he does kind of find...
I take it, I feel like he does, but he just realized this guy is going to kill this lovely woman and her son because he's an uncontrollable drunk, and the only way I know how to stop it is to kill the guy.
Yeah, but that's
how I look at it.
No,
like
no, you're right, but there's also the sense of just like Carl is just that square peg in a round hole. Like, I think he reached a point where it's like, this is never going to work for me or for them. So I have to be the one to. He was always more comfortable at the facility talking to that.
I disagree. I feel like he was so comfortable with them. It's more about Doyle, because you know John Ritter's character really became good buddies with him, especially like when he goes to him towards the end, when he's getting kind of wrapping everything, goes to him when it's raining outside and tells him, you know, I think it's one of the most powerful moments in the movie, and John's character just starts to break down because no one has ever spoken to him that politely and lovingly.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's such a wonderful, you know, trait for that character, of like where he comes from and just observes society, what little he's been out, and realizes, you know what, this may say this, but you know what, I firmly believe in this. And I just think it's a wonderful wrap up for his, and I feel like, you know, had Doyle not been around, then I think he would have lived a good, calm, healthy life with those three, with, you know, that would have been his family, and I think he would have been happy. And then working at the repair shop, I think he had a good life going for him, but he just realized like it's more about protecting his family, and the only way I know how to do it is to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And knows what he's doing, and calls the police and goes have some mustard and biscuits while waiting for the police to show up.
And that's what I love about it. Like, it's just it's so funny too. Like, it's funny, but it's got a lot of heart to it, and it's sad, but
I don't feel depressed after watching it.
No,
you know, it's a sad movie, but it's also just a movie of like all kinds of emotions. But I don't get depressed like, oh God, I can't watch that now. You know, a lot of movies that are more like Fried Green Tomatoes and Forrest Gump, beautiful movies, but they're sad as fuck.
I love Fried Green Tomatoes.
I do too, and it's sad, you know.
You know what made me sad, Tyler?
What?
I watched the Naked Gun remake last night. It had its moments. It really did. It had moments where I would chuckle at stuff. I'm like, that was good. But so many of the jokes for me just fell flat. And I was like,
because it's Seth MacFarlane. He didn't know how to run a fucking joke.
Yeah. So
it's more about, look at this. Isn't this funny? It's funny, isn't it? Right? We're just going to continue to repeat and hold on here. And I'm laugh at it.
And I'm trying to like gauge it, because other people that I follow on the Letterboxd app liked it pretty well, and I was like, was I missing something? I feel like I wasn't, but
probably not. They're probably, they think
I don't know.
Seth MacFarlane's done is gold.
I don't know. So it was just okay, but kind of borderline terrible. But same time too, it was under 90 minutes. I think it's like 84 minutes. So I didn't walk away from it feeling like that was a colossal waste of time.
Yeah.
But with enjoying Teen Wolf, because since I never watched Teen Wolf 2, the Blu-ray of that will be here tomorrow. I found a cheap copy of it on eBay. So I will watch that and report back to you next time with that. Tyler, you going to watch anything today before you head back to work from Thanksgiving break?
I don't know. I did watch a few movies with Eric. We watched Christmas Story. We watched Christmas Carol with George C. Scott. And for the first time in probably over 20 years plus, from beginning to end, Home Alone.
Oh, okay. What'd you think?
It was enjoyable. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I found more nostalgia in it than anything else. Like, I remembered how I felt in the theater, like during certain moments of the movie, like how loud it would be, or, you know, like when Kevin goes, hello, and then it cuts to the airplane in the sky, the theater was just booming loud and certain sound effects. And it would just kind of brought me back to like November of 1990, seeing it in the theaters. And but it was much enjoyed, and it definitely kind of motivated me to kind of watch a little bit more. You know, like I probably watched Scrooge a little bit more soon. I actually started watching Black Christmas last night.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that in a while, and that was good because the old school 70s Christmas decorations and the haunting winds and the creepy ass phone calls. I was actually kind of getting goosebumps on my face from some of the phone calls. Like, God, man, like Bob Clark does a great job with it.
The one that always got me in that movie is because he spends a lot of it too, like doing pig noises and like squealing and stuff. But it's when he's really erratic on there, and then he stops, and I can't remember the exact line, but he stops and he's like, "I'm gonna kill."
Oh yeah.
Does he say like, "I'm gonna kill you" or "I'm gonna kill all of you" or something?
I think it's when Margot Kidder is on the phone with him at the beginning, like the first one you hear.
Yeah.
And that's when he's just going and going and going and going, and then just says, "I'm going to kill you."
Yeah, that always stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I remember when I watched that the first time, like you mentioned, it gave me goosebumps. I was like, oh, because it's very unexpected with just how erratic he is on there.
Yeah.
Just that dead stop. And then
that's probably one of the scariest things. And just knowing the crawl space. Mm-hmm. That he just stays there the entire time, and you see that crawl space door either open and close, and it's very simple, very effective, and just haunting of just the like how cold the movie looks. You can kind of feel just how, like, you know, the wind's blowing outside, and it's just like the kind of weather you would never ever want to go outside in. And this guy's just hiding out in the attic for days on end, like just biding his time, waiting to take out the next one. And, you know, it's a fun movie.
And that's, you brought up Bob Clark. It's like he directs that and then goes and directs Christmas Story.
Yeah.
It's just opposite ends of the spectrum. But
yeah.
I intend to watch Christmas Story at some point. I usually watch that more when it's closer to Christmas. Yeah. I haven't. Christmas movies right now are still a no for me. That's going to be more probably like December 15th onward or something.
I used to kind of be that way too, but after we watched them, you know, over the weekend, I was like, I'm kind of in the mood to watch, you know, but there's so few, you know, there's very few movies that are Christmas related that I actually like to sit down and watch, because most of them are dog shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's
Christmas with the Cranks and Surviving Christmas and all these other bullshit movies with Vince Vaughn or Ben Affleck or Tim Allen. You know, just these shitty Christmas movies that just look so bad.
I will say that first Santa Claus movie is still...
They had a lot of heart, even though Charlie's a bit of a pussy in that movie. Yeah, and I know
a weenie whistle.
Yeah. There's it's a wonderful concept, that first one too, because I saw it in theaters and loved it, and but they just turned into this shitty franchise. And just like started relying on Tim Allen to make more shitty movies. But the first Santa Claus had a lot of heart to it, a good original concept to it. Some shitty moments in the movie, just bad dialogue and bad acting, but it's a great concept, and probably the only decent theatrical movie Tim Allen's ever done. You know, outside of Toy Story, where he's playing a voice and not. Tim Allen himself. You're watching Tim Allen, not him doing voice work.
Well, no love for Galaxy Quest?
Oh no, I forgot. I did like Galaxy Quest. Yeah, it's been decades since I've seen it, but I saw that in theaters too and loved it. And Sigourney Weaver's hot as fucking.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver is really hot in that.
Yeah. But I just think about all those, shitty movies that Disney was doing with Tim Allen, like Jungle to Jungle and Joe somebody or whatever the fuck, and just Santa Claus 2 and 3, which I saw. I had to see the second one in theaters. I was asked to go help a buddy out at a kid's Christmas party. I'm like, fuck, this is what we're gonna do.
What are you doing helping out at a?
Well, it was my buddy Matt's, like, his little brother's birthday party, which I was pals with his little brother. And I was asked to come because the whole thing was they wanted to go see Santa Claus 2. And I often felt like I was asked to come along to kind of keep Matt, like, occupied for a lot of stuff. Because that's what my parents thought. Like, they just invite you on just to keep him quiet, probably, don't they? And I was like, I kind of went being a good sport because, we're best buds and everything. I'm like, oh, my God, this movie's so fucking lame and dumb. Like, little Charlie breaks into school to vandalize, saying the principal's against Christmas, so I'm going to vandalize the school. What kind of dumb shit is this? And then Mrs. Claus has her little shaking her ass at the end of the movie, and like, this is just dumb.
I've never seen.
That's all I remember about it. That Charlie just being this, like, supposed rebel pussy, and it's just dumb, just stupid and dumb, just like everything else Disney does live action, just fucking stupid. It's just meant for morons. Meat with eyes.
Hey, there's plenty of Hallmark Christmas movies that you can check out.
Nah, it's okay. Like I said, outside of Bill Murray's Scrooge and George C. Scott's Christmas Carol, I don't really watch, because Christmas Vacation has been overplayed to death. I even went on a stretch where I didn't want to watch Christmas Story for a while because of all the dumbass merchandise. I feel like the marathon, like, you guys do remember there was a time when TBS would play it maybe once or twice in the span of December, November, and that was it. Mm-hmm. This whole idea of 24/7, like, kind of lost its luster over 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And people are like, "Oh no, it's great. I do it every." Like, why?
I guess out of nostalgia, really.
But I'm thinking, like, this is what nostalgia is like. They play this one movie on a loop for 24 hours starting Christmas Eve, whereas, like, I watched it on TBS the one time I got to catch it until I actually saw it available to rent on video, which was well into the 90s before I ever saw it to rent. Because I didn't even know what it was called for the longest time. It's that movie with the glasses and the scary Santa Claus and the scary elves. That's all I know it to be. Yeah. Back in '88, I think is when I saw it for the first time. Had no idea what it was.
I guess it's time, though, that we could just jump on the elf bandwagon, right?
Fuck that movie. I've had to watch it. Erica loves it. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you like it. I don't. I'll be a good sport and watch it, but no, it's not. It's not. Yeah. Will Ferrell's obnoxious like he is in everything else. It relies on him just being loud and screaming because there's no actual comedic timing with him. That's what his thing is. He yells and screams and shows his belly. That's all he's got.
Yeah, I think in addition, I think it's TBS that's going to do Christmas Story for 24 hours, and then TNT is doing Elf for 24 hours. God. So perfect. We'll just
somebody just shoot me in the head.
Get a Clockwork Orange with Elf. That would actually be a good thing. I should just take a clip from Elf of Will Ferrell just screaming, and then show the Clockwork Orange with the eyes. With the eyes.
Get something to be second.
I'll work on that. Maybe I can get that edited into this episode. If That'd not, you know that I tried.
Yeah.
With that, we'll go ahead and we will get out of here. As we said before, hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. If you're already watching some Christmas movies like Tyler has, and you're not going to wait until we're actually in December like I'm going to do, throw down some recommendations. What do you watch during the Christmas season? I'm kind of Team Tyler on this. When it comes to Christmas movies, it's only like a select full that I want to sit and actually watch.
Maybe Christmas related, like, episodes of sitcoms I like, like a Christmas episode of Frasier or Seinfeld or something like that, or even maybe Married with Children or something like that. But for the most part, I'm just like, there's more bad Christmas movies than there are good. And I like to watch the Christmas cartoons from the 80s, like Garfield's Christmas, and then, of course, the Will Vinton's Claymation Christmas, and then Charlie Brown's Christmas, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph, But I like to watch him in my own time, and I also miss the idea of like, which I think they still do, like Rudolph plays once a year, but it's like they can't wait to get it out of the way. They don't play it close to Christmas. We're gonna play it on December 1st. Like, why don't you guys wait a little closer to Christmas, like maybe mid-December when the kids are getting really amped up for Santa Claus, and you play the Christmas specials? No, fuck that. We got to play our prime time. Who gives a rat's ass Thursdays? We got to get all this old stuff out of the way in advance, so we have all our primetime network specials, with Dick Clark and whoever. And I know he's dead.
It's just like the wrestling stuff all over again.
Yeah.
But leave us a comment down below. Let us know what Christmas stuff you're checking out or planning to check out. Let us know your thoughts on the secret liquid of life. Would you be one that would want to live eternally? I know that I wouldn't. And Tyler said he wouldn't either.
Nah.
If you haven't done so already, make sure you like this episode, subscribe, and until later, let the power return.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
Is this going to be one of those misdirection things where this is like a line that was like in Sling Blade and I wasn't paying attention to it, but I said that I just watched it and you're going to make me look like an ass?
No, but I could have went that way, but I didn't.
I'm surprised that you didn't, honestly. That one's not ringing any bells right off.
All right, hey, check it out. It's Old Man Marley. Is it true the French babes don't shave their pits? Some of them don't, but they got nude beaches. Not in the winter.
I like have.
Let's see if I can think of one more.
I don't think I would be right in my guess, but go ahead and give me the last.
Okay, let's see if I can't pick another one that's not like overused.
Old Man Marley.
Yeah. All right. Is this toothbrush approved by the National Dental Association? Yeah.
Home Alone.
Yeah.
When the shaving the pits thing, I was like, oh yeah, that's the scene when I can't remember. Buzz. Buzz is the one. He's answering that question, correct?
Well, he's asking his cousin about French babes, because they're on the way to France. And he's like, is it true they don't shave their pits?
Yeah. That's it. I thought someone was asking Buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then when you said Old Man Marley, I was like, I think it's that but also too, I can't remember I couldn't remember his name. I was like, yeah, it's just the old creepy guy.
Yeah. Which I always thought looked like my granddaddy. He's just a sweet old man.
Yeah.
It's the old guy from the guy from Escape from Alcatraz that like cuts his finger, I think.
Oh shit! That reminds me that you mentioned that going back to Teen Wolf, Styles, he actually plays like the cult leader guy on an episode of Boy Meets World.
Oh yes, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, he plays like the leader of that. And like Corey's dad's gonna kick his ass at the end of it's like I think it's a 2-part episode too.
Yeah, where they brainwash Sean.
Yeah, they brainwash Sean, and then Turner gets into a motorcycle accident, and then they just fucking write him off the show. And I'm like, you don't see him again until the graduation episode where he just shows up, and then like
he probably fucking killed himself.
Yeah, and then Minkus walks up because Minkus Lee, what's his name? Lee Norris.
Lee Norris. Yeah.
Yeah. He walks in the graduation episode, like, where you been this entire time? He's like, oh, I've been over there, and points off camera, and then they all like look in that direction. He's like, oh, I've just been over there on the other side of the hallway, and it's like that's a good little gag. But
yeah,
when I saw Styles in Teen Wolf, I was like, he looks so familiar to me. He almost looks like the actor that's in Adventures in Babysitting, too. Like they look very similar.
Which one in Adventures in Babysitting?
I can't remember his name. But I was like, oh, that's the cult guy. When I was like, that's where I saw him and remembered him from. Because on his Wikipedia, they just allude. It doesn't really show anything. It's like most known for Teen Wolf, and then he did some directing on Boy Meets World. And I dug a little bit further because it said he appeared in it, and I'm like, what did he appear in? And I saw it. I was like, oh, holy shit, there he is. Why is it showing me the God, I forgot that they remade Adventures in Babysitting too, and it was.
Oh yeah, I forgot they did too. But it was like a release to streaming, and no one gave a fuck. Much like a lot of the other remakes they've done.
Keith Coogan.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like he looks sort of similar to. You don't?
Nah.
I kind of do.
All right, I'll give it to you.
He's dead.
But it's a fun casting team, Wolf. I got the Shout Factory version, which arrived yesterday, so I'm going to pick that up a little later.
Okay.
And there's like almost a 2-hour documentary on the making of and the legacy of the movie and everything. I'm looking forward to watching, because the behind the scenes in part 2 is very short. It's just to interview a couple of the actors and like, I know you guys shit on this movie and this, and it's the same film as the first film, but it's just involves boxing, and I get it, but it's a lot of fun and charm to it. It's not going to win any Oscars, and nor was it ever expected to be.
And Jason Bateman had nothing to do with any of the supplemental.
Oh no, because he hates the movie.
Yeah, let me know how that documentary on the Teen Wolf disc is, though.
I'm looking forward to watching it. The longer the documentary, the better. So when it's that long, God.
when it's longer than the movie, it kind of sets the expectation a little high.
I'm like, man, they're probably going into great details about like the original concept and getting casting Michael J. Fox and doing the makeup and when it gets released, like is anyone going to come to this movie? And then Back to the Future comes out, and they're like, oh my god, so.
And then you got Family Ties too. That's
good.
Bumping it up. Speaking of Michael J. Fox, though, I think it's an Apple. I think it's like an Apple TV exclusive doc, but you might be able to like buy it or rent it. But that documentary on Michael J. Fox is maybe I wouldn't recommend it to you, because it would probably it would bum you out.
Well, I'm sure that one and the one about John Candy that's on Amazon, which I'm sure is a massive tearjerker too. So
yeah, I need to watch that one. I almost put that on last night, and then I decided to watch the fucking Naked Gun remake instead. So.
God, what a mistake that was.
Yeah, we're out of here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Appreciate your time, everybody.
And I'm looking at you, Cornette, when I say that. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, you just changed the cards. I said, the fucking guy's in jail. What do you want me to do, bake a cake with a fucking file in it? And he's yelling at me because I took the guy off the cards that's fucking in jail. Motherfucker. So anyway,